All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about something a lot of us do, especially if you're a big thinker. It's this habit of thinking about our feelings instead of, actually feeling them. It's a really subtle defense mechanism, but it has a huge impact. So today, we're going to break down why we do it, what it's secretly costing us, and how to find a much healthier balance.
So let me just ask you straight up. Does this sound like you? Something difficult happens and your first move is to figure it out, to find the logical reason for it, to basically write up a case file on your own life, instead of just letting yourself feel that raw punch of sadness or anger. If you're nodding along, yeah, you're in exactly the right place.
So there's actually a name for this whole process. It's called intellectualization. It's basically a defense mechanism where we use our powerful brains to put some space between us and our messy, uncomfortable emotions. It's kind of like taking that big, chaotic feeling from your gut and shipping it upstairs to your brain's filing department to be neatly sorted and labeled. And this right here is the perfect example of that switch in action. Instead of the simple, vulnerable truth of, I feel sad, the brain just swoops in and reframes it as, well, it makes sense why this happened. See that? It's a tiny shift in language, but it's a massive leap away from the actual feeling, and it happens in a split second. Now, this is super important to get right from the start. This is not a character flaw. It's not a weakness. It's armor. It's a protective strategy that your mind built for a very good reason, to keep you from getting completely overwhelmed.
So let's talk a little more about that armor. How does logic become this protective shield in the first place? And where does that whole instinct to analyze instead of feel even come from?
Well, the brain science behind it is actually pretty simple. You've got your feeling brain, the amygdala, which is kind of like the emotional smoke detector of your body. It senses a threat and it goes off loudly. In response, your thinking brain, the prefrontal cortex, can jump in like a crisis manager and say, whoa, whoa, let's calm down and handle this rationally. It's your brain's own internal emergency response team.
And why does our brain love this trick so much? Well, because in the short term, it works. It puts a lid on the overwhelming emotion. It dials down that immediate panic. It makes you feel like you're in the driver's seat again, which feels way better than being tossed around by chaotic feelings.
And get this is not something to be ashamed of. In fact, it's often a sign of high intelligence and serious resilience, especially if you grew up in a place where showing big emotions wasn't exactly safe or welcome. Your brain just learned to use its sharpest tool, your intellect, to protect you. But here's the catch. That shield is heavy. And what starts out as a shield to protect you can, over time, turn into a wall that locks you in and locks other people out. So let's talk about the hidden cost of all this control. Think of it like this. The intellectualizer understands the pain. They can draw you a diagram of it, explain its origins, and predict its trajectory. But they miss out on the actual relief that comes from just letting it out. The emotionally reactive person, on the other hand, gets that release, but might not understand what just happened. The intellectualizer is missing a key piece of the human experience. And here's how this affects your relationships. Because on the inside, there might be a hurricane of feeling, but on the outside, all people see is this calm, controlled, analytical person. They can't see the storm behind your eyes. So to them, you can come across as distant, hard to connect with, maybe even a little cold.
Has anyone ever said this to you? You never open up. Oof, it is such a gut punch, isn't it? Especially when you feel like you're explaining everything in painstaking detail. But that's the classic sign that your shield has become a wall. They don't want an explanation. They want to feel you.
And here we are at the core conflict. Real, deep connection, the kind of stuff we all crave, it runs on shared vulnerability. It's fueled by the messy, I feel hurt, not the clean, logical, well, your actions predictably led to this outcome. Your brilliant analytical mind, as useful as it is, can become the biggest roadblock to real intimacy. Okay, so that's the problem. What's the solution? The great news is you're not stuck. There is absolutely a way forward. This next part is all about the how-to, the practical, concrete steps you can take to integrate your powerful mind with your heart. And let's be crystal clear about one thing. The goal here is not to stop being an analytical, logical person. That's your superpower. We're not trying to get rid of it. We're talking about integration, getting your head and your heart to finally work on the same team instead of against each other. So here's a simple 5-step process to practice. 1. Just notice the feelings there. That's it. 2. Allow it to exist in your body. Where do you feel it?
Is your chest tight? Is your stomach in knots? 3. Give it a name. And be specific. Is it sadness or is it disappointment? 4. And only then do you bring in your brain to reflect on it. And finally, 5. You consciously choose how to express it. See the difference? The thinking comes later, not first.
So here it is again. It's the difference between that detached observation, it's understandable why this happened, and the raw, vulnerable statement, I feel disappointed. It's a small change in words, but it's a massive shift that closes that distance and speaks directly from the heart.
Okay, so let's bring this all home and reframe this entire dynamic. This isn't about your mind versus your heart. This is about a reunion. It's about getting them to work together in a powerful new way. We have this cultural myth that being smart means you're not emotional. That's just flat out wrong. Your intelligence isn't meant to be a cage for your heart. Think of it more like a flashlight. You can use its powerful beam to explore your feelings with curiosity, to understand them, not just to avoid them. And this is what that integration looks like when you get it right. It's the best of both worlds. You can think clearly when things get tough. You can feel your emotions deeply without feeling like you're going to drown. You can analyze your pain without running from it. And you can be vulnerable without losing your sense of self.
If you remember one single thing from our time together, please let it be this. Your analytical mind is an incredible problem-solving machine, but emotions are not problems to be solved. They're experiences to be moved through. You can't fix sadness. You can't solve grief. You just have to let yourself walk through the storm.
So I'll leave you with this final question. We tend to think our intelligence as for building things, for being in control, for solving puzzles. But what if its highest, bravest use isn't to build a wall against your feelings, but to finally create a space that's safe enough to truly experience them?